in our faith, what is the calling to become a priest? Because I know Joshin, I watched some of his videos. He's thought about becoming a priest. Can you, like, what is that calling to become a priest? Why become a priest? Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
When I came to Jodo Shinshu, I was not thinking to become a priest. I just wanted to stay in my own corner and mind my own business. Everybody do the work. And I just sit there, say Nembutsu, enjoy the Dharma talks, and go home. I didn't want to do something. But then I seeing all the wrong views that were prevalent in the school, in the international sangha, and seeing that actually I don't have a true teacher because I was in a Honganji, I was to European conferences, I was even to Japan to be ordained, but I didn't have somebody that I could call my teacher because almost everybody there was speaking bullshit or mixing things. The only one uh, who talked about Buddha, Amida Buddha, in the right way was Hisao Inagaki Sensei. But he used to like to mix Zen with Nembutsu. He had some strange ideas about Nembutsu and Zen, he and his father. But despite those ideas that me and him discussed about that, he was the only one who was teaching about Amida Buddha as being a true and real living Buddha and the Pure Land, the real enlightened place. That was the only one, you know. Even at my ordination, when we were supposed to listen to some lectures, all the teachers there who presented papers to us, except Hisao Inagaki sensei, they were all teaching crazy things, you know, or not quite correct from the doctrinal point of view. So I came to the conclusion that you are talking about the calling. I came to the conclusion that if I don't do it, if I don't become a priest, then nobody will do it. I mean, if I don't become a priest who can teach the orthodox teaching and who can fight against these heresies from the position of a priest, then who does it? Who will do it? So I was somehow forced to do it by a sense of duty. But so you have to, somebody who wants to become a priest has to find this sense of duty within himself to think that I have to do it. I have to sacrifice part of my time in order to do it. I have to take this responsibility of helping others receive faith as the priority of my life. And everything else comes secondary. Everything else. No matter if I feel good or bad, duty comes first. If, I don't know, the family goes crazy, nobody likes me, or many problems appear in a family, duty comes first. That's very important. So the sense of duty is very important if you want to become a priest. It's like in an army, you become an officer. And as an officer, you are not allowed to leave your post for no reason. You are not allowed. Since the moment when you make the vows of a priest, you don't abandon your people, no matter what. You are in the hospital, or whatever happens to you, you take care of your life, but you don't abandon the duty of taking care of people. You do as you can, but you never abandon the duty. So you have to have this sense of duty. But it's this sense of duty. I have to do it. I have to do it, you know, and it needs some kind of craziness, you know. It's not, you know, when you are a family man, and for example, in my case, sometimes I have to answer people. I usually try to answer questions from people very quick. I walk with my wife in the park, and I have the phone with me. And somebody asks me a question by email or Zoom, or if I see it, I have to answer immediately. Sometimes I don't see it. But if I see it, then I have to answer immediately. When I got married, I answered 3 messages, Dharma messages, in my wedding night with my wife near me. And I said, that's it. This is what I am, duty. I have to answer. But you have to answer now. Yes, now I have to answer because I saw the messages. See? So you have to be a little crazy. you know? Obsessed. You have to be obsessed with the work you do. And we need guys to become priests. First, after you get this motivation, you need to pass the examination and then come in person to Amida G, because ordination should be done face to face, not online. Shaving the head means that you become crazy for the Dharma, obsessed with Dharma. You know nothing else but the Dharma. It's like shaving any other preoccupations. Yes, you is like abandoning yourself. Of course, nobody can totally abandon himself. You'll still have attachments and so and so, but you learn to live through with your attachments. And while you are still attached and living with your attachments and with your objects of attachments around you, because you can also be married and have children, you ignore them and you focus on the duty when the time comes. You learn to ignore your attachments more and focus more on the duty, you know. Um, you
That's
have to
been
be able.
happening.
Sorry. For example, one thing: if you have your son in the sangha and your son is speaking bullshit about the dharma, you have to be able to kick him out of the sangha, like Shinran, or your wife. From today, dear wife, you are no longer in the sangha. Doesn't matter what you do. Sorry, Joshin, please.
No, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying along those lines, lately, and I used to get caught up in a lot of drama and bullshit with narcissists at work, as you know, and
Yeah.
that was a big problem for me. And I've really been working on myself personally, and I've come to a breaking point where I've moved past that. And for me personally, the key is, and I'm not talking about just work, but everywhere. I openly live my faith. I shave my head. Everybody knows I'm a Buddhist. I walk around saying Nimbutsu. Everywhere I walk, is a Nimbutsu walk. I have my prayer beads. But on a personal level, I'm kind of like done. There's like a few people, the Sangha and my roommate, and basically that's it that I connect with. And everyone else, I'm just kind of shut down. Now, if you ask me about Buddhism and the Dharma, I more than willingly bend over backwards to tell you. And I go online, I'm still doing my videos. I need to make them more often, but I haven't had any inspiration lately. I've been focusing mostly on working on myself and not taking things personally. And the way I do that is just, I don't participate in the drama. Like you said, I'm crazy. I'm my own weird thing. But first and foremost comes my Jodo Shinshu Buddhist faith. First comes Amida. My Shinjin is my life, literally.
Yeah.
Everything else supports that, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. Everything else, my job, eating, drinking, bathing, it supports my faith in Amida. And like 24/7 a day, off and on, whenever the feeling arises, and it arises a lot, I say Nimbutsu, either silently or aloud, in my head, wherever, walking, standing. There's a different kind of Buddhism than, like you said, the people who just, maybe they're born into it because of a cultural thing, or they try it as some kind of new age hippy dippy thing. You know, there's living as a sincere Buddhist who believes in the reality of the Dharma, the Buddha, the Sangha. And then there are people who just, it's like a label they wear, like Catholic or Protestant, or it doesn't mean anything really to them.
Yeah, that's why, for example, many people ask me, especially in Honganji, why are you so obsessed with this idea of wrong views? It's not the fact that you are right, it's how you say it. But you know, it's because they don't understand, they don't take this Dharma serious. Imagine that you are a doctor and you make operations or surgery on open heart. And you have to be very careful to make the surgery perfect. You have to be obsessed with making the surgery perfect so that the patient does not die. So if you see somebody uh, playing around that patient, not being careful enough with the utensils, perhaps leaving, I don't know, something inside the body, you go crazy with that person, with that student, and you say, "What the fuck are you doing? You know, get out of the surgery room. You are no good to be a doctor. Get out, go home." No, you eliminate that person from the university, for example, because he's not taking his job seriously. To teach the Dharma is not a hobby. Dharma is not a hobby. Sangha is not a social club. You know, we are not playing intellectual games here. We are talking about matters of blood and death and life. You know, that's the Dharma. So we are talking about matters of life and death. You know, and uh, you can't treat it lightly. Like, you know, it's not a book club. So you have to be very clear what is the Dharma, what is not the Dharma. Because we are talking here about, we are dealing here with matters that can either save somebody from birth and death, or making him lose the chance that he has to be born in human form and perhaps never meet with the Dharma in thousands of lifetimes. It's is like this is how important it is. It's a matter of life and death. It's actually a matter of many lives and deaths. Is to, you know, it's very important. People don't realize they become priest, and for them is like something, I don't know, I go and present a paper. The religion is not presenting a paper in an academic place. It's about living the Dharma day to day. Is sitting with your knees on the floor in Gasho, praying to Amida Buddha, saying Namo Amida Bu, praying to Amida Buddha to help you help others, inspiring you to help others. Reading with the pen in your hand, you know, is to go to and meet people who are perhaps on a deathbed or whose relatives died. You have to be able to take them in your arms while they cry and to give them hope. Tell them there is Amida Buddha, living Buddha. His light is on you. That's how can you do all this if you are just treating religion like a social club, like a book club, like, you know, presenting papers. You see, when you write a Dharma book, you have to write it with blood. It's like you write it with your energy of your life. You have to think, to put yourself into the mind of the reader and imagine what kinds of questions he might have, what kind of problems he might have. And that's when you write a book, not because you feel good and you want just to write a paper about that you will present to your colleagues at the university. You know, no, you have to be able to answer to people that suffer and turn their minds toward liberation. Yes. Yes, so
But
that's what you need if you
that's
please.
why I keep to myself, because it's like I listen to people around me, especially the younger generation, and all they want to talk about is bullshit. You know, did you see this movie? Did you see have you played this video game yet? Have you heard this song? And I understand, I love music, this, that, and the other, but it's not my life. It's not my focus. The Dharma and Amida and Nimbutsu is my life and focus because, like you said, I'm crazy in the head where it comes to that. It's like, that is what brings me truest joy is Amida, finding him. The day I received Amida's gift of Shinjin, that was game over. No more fucking bullshit. It was about focusing the rest of I knew what the rest of my life was at that point. It was focusing on Amida. And by that, I mean a life lived serving Amida, a life lived saying Nimbutsu, a life lived focusing on the Dharma, because that genuinely is the only thing that makes me happy. Most people glide on the surface like a speck of dust or a leaf that's fallen on top of the water. And they just float around. I recently it's cold as hell here in Houston. And before I get there early to do a Nimbutsu walk before I start my shift at work, like over an hour. But lately I've been doing that, just studying on my phone. But while I was doing that inside my job place, this guy walks up, and I thought it was my supervisor handing me some note, job related thing. And I looked up and I just grabbed it, and it was like, Jesus died for your sins. And the guy I guess he had seen me walking around the neighborhood with my prayer beads. And so he bolted straight to his car or wherever and drove off. But he did his thing of handing me the Jesus flyer. And I just calmly got up and threw it right in the trash. And it's like, you people don't understand. This is not a hobby for me. This is my life. And very few Buddhists look at this like it's something to be taken seriously. A lot of Buddhists see this as just something they do, or a way to promote LGBTQ or whatever ideology through a particular religious format. And I know I'm going on a rant here, but it's like, this is why I've gone within and focused on that as the number one priority in my life. My number one priority is my connection with Amida. Everything else I do is just to survive. Like you said, we need people who are genuinely connected with Amida in the Sangha. Because you and I have seen them come and go. And a lot of people are like this one person I told you about who since moved away. She would ask me forever, you can go home and do yoga. And it's like, you're not getting this. You're not listening, because for a lot of people, you tell them the Dharma, it goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, this is your fucking religion. No, it's not my fucking religion. This is my life. It's my faith defines me. And it is, I would die. This is the only thing other than those I love. I would die for my faith. And not even think a thing about it, because without my faith, my life is meaningless.
Yeah, Buddhism actually saved me from a life as an alcoholic. Because of Buddhism, I stopped drinking. Because of Buddhism, I stopped smoking. I am like a mad dog. And any dog needs a leash. I think to myself like an evil being, evil spirit, subjugated by the power of the Buddhas, by the power of Amida, by the power of the Dharma. Dharma is the leash that keeps me on the path that makes my life, that gives purpose to my life. Otherwise, I couldn't find the purpose in my life without the Dharma. So the Dharma is the leash that Buddhas place upon me. They subjugated me and made me not a perfect being now, because of course I'm far from perfect, but at least they put me into the direction to the Pure Land. We can't become enlightened here and now, but we are still crazy persons. We are filled with lots of attachments and obsessions. But if we have faith in Amida Buddha, then Amida Buddha places us in the direction to enlightenment. That's very important. Yeah. And not only you mentioned young people, but not only young people. I see many mature people that are living aimlessly without a goal. Their life has no purpose and no direction. And I see many old guys practicing lots of stuff, going from here and there to all kinds of spiritual centers, and they are doing this for many years. For example, I know a person, let's call him George. He's from Romania here, and I know him for 20 years. In these 20 years, he used to go to all kinds of spiritual centers, practicing this or that, but never finding his own path, never decided for one path. And he always goes like this. If I have a public speaking, he comes to my public speaking. If if I don't know, somebody else does a public speaking, he goes to that public speaking, and he practices with everybody. And I told him, you are spending your life for nothing. He is now like 70 years old. And I even told him, go home and don't come to the temple again until you are decided that this is the path for you. Because you are coming here, you speak all kinds of bullshit, spiritual bullshit. You mix things in your head and in your speaking here with others. And you are destroying the atmosphere in the temple. Because he doesn't come to the temple to listen, but to express his opinions.
Once you receive Shinjin, and it doesn't have to be a life-shattering moment like it was with me, where it's like, wow, but it can be a very quiet thing. It can be suited to whoever's personality. But when you have Shinjin, you know you have Shinjin. You know it. This is something beyond just all the shit that I've done in my life, all the little New Age practices, and all the myriad Protestant and Catholic churches I've gone to in my life. This changed everything. Knowing Amida is real, connecting with him, knowing the Pure Land is real and that I am going there, knowing that the Dharma is the true path has revolutionized my life and is the driving force for me bettering myself until the day I die. So when I say I'm working on myself, a lot of people would say, oh, well, he's about to get a new philosophy in life. No, I got my philosophy in life. I'm trying to heal the toxic bullshit that was caused to me growing up. But my faith in Amida is not going to change. It's never on the table. It's not something that's ever going to be up for debate in my life. It's not going to be something that I'm going to change. You'll never hear, like with someone we knew, that, oh yeah, Dave, he's a Christian now. He's a Hindu now. He's a Muslim now. No, I'm going to be that crazy little Buddhist for the rest of my life until I die. Because Shinjin, and I wish the people more Jodo Shinshu, more Pure Land Buddhists and Chinese Pure Land Buddhists will realize the traditional aspect of knowing that Buddhas are real, knowing that the Dharma is really the only answer. It's not just a philosophy.
Yeah. Buddhism is a personal relation between the Buddhas and you, especially between Amida Buddha and you. Yes, it's the moment when when you realize that Amida Buddha has always been there in front of you, trying in many ways to help you. And now when you find about his primal vow and you entrust to him, you realize he was always there, wanting to help you. But you couldn't be helped by him because you didn't accept his helping hand. See? Somebody can love you unconditionally, but you are not aware of his love. See, that's what we did so many lifetimes. Now we realize it. We become aware of Amida's love for us and we entrust to him. Yes, it's wonderful. Daitoku, one
Yeah.
thing,
Mhm.
I'm looking at your altar. Please try somehow to not put my image in front of your altar when you look to the altar, because when you see the altar, you have to see Amida Buddha, not me.
Hey,
Yeah.
Joshin, I just had a question for you. Sometime back in one of your videos, you talked about becoming a priest, and that's what kind of got me interested too in these questions I'm asking today.
Yes,
And I just
that
wanted
is
to ask
still
you.
on the table.
Okay, that's
Yes,
good. I'm happy to hear
that
that.
is still on the table.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to go into detail about it. I talked to Josho
Yeah.
Sensei about, but I've had a lot of financial difficulties. I've had a lot
Right.
of stuff going on. Just, and I'm not going to go into it, but it's a lot of stuff I do need to get in order.
Yeah, we'll do
And
it in
I
1 or
do,
2
above
years.
all things, I want to be a Jodo Shinshu priest. That is my goal before dying. So
In
Yeah.
I'm just
1 or 2
going to live
years.
like one
In 1
now.
or 2 years, we'll do it. Yes.
And my question, Joshin, respectfully, was, I wonder if you could just share, like, what was your motivation? Because when I saw your video, I found it very motivating, and I thought about, well, what what does it mean to become a Shinshu priest? Like, what is the motivation? And I was just
My
wondering if you could
life
share.
is Amida,
Mm.
and that's it. I came to the conclusion that my truest joy is Amida. The thought of him brightens up my mind. The day I encountered him, that will always be in my mind. When I realized I had Shinjin, the tears rolling down my face, that was the pivotal point of my life. And ultimately, I will, in one form or another, become a priest. I have to find a way to make it to Romania before I
Yeah.
die.
Ah, I want sooner. I mean, next year or 2 years
I'm
maximum, not
working
too
on
after you. Yeah.
it.
Hozan came. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing, though.
You guys want
My
the plane tickets.
circumstances are such that I
Yeah.
got to take care of a lot of shit. I'm not procrastinating.
Okay.
That is my greatest desire, is to be a priest, to wear the robes and to share the Dharma, because I know by wearing the robes, people will ask questions and I will share the Dharma. That is my ultimate joy. But yes,
Yeah.
but to answer your question, Daitoku, it is that burning love for Amida that motivates you to want to become a priest. You realize that he is the purest light in your life, and you want to share that light with others any way you can. So one day, I'm working on it, believe me.
Yeah. Becoming a priest is responsibility. It's not like, feeling more Asiatic because you wear the robes or, feeling good in the robes. Your life can be very difficult. I had many difficulties and lost many things. You can lose lots of money, for example, because you have to take care of the people first. And you can't, for example, I can't have a permanent job. I have to take care of so many people, and that nobody can actually cope with me. If I get to work 3 days here, then somebody comes to the temple. I have to spend 3 days with him, or I have to do this or that. So after some time, you might realize that you can't have a stable financial life and be a priest. Sometimes you can. It depends on what kinds of things you can do in your life. But it can be very difficult financially. You need to prioritize your Dharma mission over other things that you do in life. See? Yeah. You will have to be a very good dancer in order to dance your life in such a way that you can keep people satisfied with your help, and your wife and your family satisfied, you know, and your mistress, if you are Joshin, if you have 10 ladies, you know. Joshin, if you have 3 ladies, you have to satisfy everybody, the Sangha and the 3 ladies.
I ain't got time for that shit. I got enough dealing with my own baggage.
Yeah, we are joking here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a responsibility. And it's not an easy one. It's not easy to be a priest. And you have to deal with lots of shit. You know, people might want to meet you, and you go and meet them, and you sacrifice your time, the time you would otherwise spend with your family. You sacrifice that time to meet with that guy, and you realize that guy he is not in a learning mood. He just wants to express his own opinions, to express his own spiritual bullshit. He's not eager to listen, to learn. He doesn't want to be corrected. When you deal with people, it's very difficult. For example, Joshin, you work with people, with customers. It's very difficult to serve coffee to people. But to serve the Dharma to them is even more difficult, because this is what you are. You are like a servant of the Dharma. You are not you should not consider yourself an important person. You should consider yourself a servant of people. You try to serve them well, but they don't care, or they seem to care. Then you might realize that they didn't understood what you told them repeatedly, and you hear them speaking crazy things that they say they learn from you. So many things like that can happen. See, until you meet a good Dharma colleague, it takes lots of time.
I remember one time there, and I'm not going to mention names, I can't remember the guy's name, but we had some guy that was like off, and he, on the day he was supposed to receive the 3 refuges, said, "Oh, yes, this is wonderful. This is just like when Jesus walked on the water and
Yeah.
rose from the dead." And I'm like, "Whoa, ding, ding, ding." And I contacted you. He sent me a message saying that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And
No, you're not giving this. No, think about this before you give this guy the three
yeah.
refuges. He's
And
comparing Amida with Jesus. And it's
yeah.
like, oh,
And me and Joshin spend some hours with that guy. Spend some of our times, days. I even spent weeks with that guy. Lots of effort, you know. Yeah. And if you meet many guys like this, then it's very difficult. You would like to talk with people that are in a listening mood, in a learning mood, but it's very difficult to find such people. So you would need to talk with lots of people full of shit until you finally meet somebody who is open enough to learn. Yeah. For example, I met with somebody, and that guy, instead of listening to what I wanted to say, he came to the temple just to pour his mind on me, to explain to me all his opinions about spirituality. And I told him, why? What is the reason you came to this temple? Do you want to listen to Buddhism, or you want to just express yourself? Some other guy recently called me, and he wanted to talk with me. We talked 1 hour at the phone. I was very tired, and I couldn't pour anything, any Dharma knowledge into that guy. He was closed. He was constantly talking in his own terms about his own opinions about spirituality, and I couldn't pour any Dharma truth in him. I couldn't. And yeah. Yes, it's not easy.
You must study the Dharma every day, even after
Yeah.
Shinjin. You have to study the Dharma every day because I'm human. You know, I'm a fallible old man, and I need to study the Dharma. I mean, my faith is secure. My faith in Amida, that's never going to change. But, you know, it just to familiarize yourself with the Dharma and hearing the same things over and over and over again, they help to establish in your mind so that when people ask questions, you don't come up with a mishmash of crap, you know, or and you have to, and Josho has told me this, and it's very true. Just because I'm a person of Shinjin and I know I'm connected with Amida, I have to be careful, though, how I describe that faith to other people. Because if I don't use the right terminology, people will take what I say or one word I say in a sentence and go off way the hell out in left field and totally miss the point of the primal vow, the Dharma, and the most important aspects of our faith. So it's very important for us to study the Dharma daily.
Yes. As Renyo said, before Shinjin, you listen to the Dharma, study the Dharma. After Shinjin, you continue to listen to the Dharma. You make it a habit. You should read the Dharma text until they break. You know, that's what he said. It's important. Of course, this doesn't mean that you will be a superman. Don't imagine that priests are supermen, but you decide that you will deal with the dharma. You decide to be ready for others, to be available, to put some time in, to offer your time. You are ready to offer your time. And about study, you don't need to know all the books by heart, but you need to go, you need to know where to go if you need to talk about a certain dharma topic. If you need to find passages from about the stage of no retrogression, you can go to the book The Meaning of Faith and Nembutsu, where I gave passages on this topic from Shinran. And if you need to talk about one's calling or many callings, or one recitation versus many recitations of Nembutsu, you can also go to the same book in the chapter related to Nembutsu. Actually in the chapter dedicated to the primal vow, and so and so. You see, you need to know where to find things in the books. You can't remember passages by heart. It's impossible. See, but that's why it's important to study the topics of examination, because you can find the answers of those topics in the books. You see, they are explained there. So, and you need to know where to find them. Yeah. Don't expect to be a perfect priest or to be always satisfied with how you do your duty. You'll never be satisfied. You'll have breakdowns. You'll have moments when you can't do anything, but you need to come back again. I mean, if when you fall, you have to continue to crawl. Even if you crawl, even if you fall, you will crawl, still crawl to do your duty. you will find ways. If you have the determination and dedication and motivation to be a priest, you will find solutions. Yeah. And we need priests in Amidaji because a healthy organization thrives on its many leaders, many teachers. One leader organization is very bad and toxic. And we don't want that in Amidaji. I keep repeating that Amidaji is a teamwork. Amidaji is a teamwork. We need to have many teachers in various parts of the world and ordained members and lay people who know the basics of Jodo Shinshu so that Amidaji don't die. If I die or this or that person dies, then Amidaji doesn't die because it has other priests. And nobody, no one priest and no one leader can lead all the organization. I can't, for example, get involved in all the stuff that happens in Latin America, see, or in Russia. Shingyo Yuri takes care of the things in Russia, for example. I don't need to intervene there. Like, that kind of boss who always goes everywhere and tries to solve everybody's problems and he's the only one who does things. No, I don't want to be like that, So you live in Germany, you live in USA, you take care of things there. You are able to guide people to dedicate yourself and yeah. We have to be like a snake with many heads. If you kill a snake, if you cut a head, the other survive and continue to do damage among the wrong views. Yeah.
I had a question, Sensei.
Yes.
From what I understand, Jodo Shinshu is the biggest denomination of Buddhism in Japan. So that
In
means
terms
there's a
of
lot
numbers.
in terms of numbers, we don't know how many of those people actually have Shinjin.
Yeah.
But theoretically, a lot of people do rely on other power in Japan, theoretically. And it seems like in the West, most people are incredibly fascinated and drawn to self-power. So I would think being a Jodo Shinshu priest in the West is incredibly hard. Everybody is very individualistic. Everybody is very fascinated in self-power. I was wondering, what is it? Why are people so fascinated with self-power?
There are actually many people that might be interested in Jodo Shinshu, but unfortunately, they haven't met the right priest. For example, I saw many lay people sincerely interested in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism at various European conferences that I attended in the past, but they couldn't hear a genuine Dharma talk there that can satisfy them, that can influence them, that can touch their heart. So, it actually doesn't matter. For us who are priests or who want to be priests, it doesn't matter how people are. We should not complain about the situation. We should always complain about us and ask us ourselves if we are ready to do this job, to engage in this, to dedicate time and energy. That's what we, and if we are well prepared in Dharma matters, that's what we care. We should care about. Doesn't matter how people are. I'm sure that if we create the right conditions, this is what we do at Amidaji. We create the right conditions for people to meet the Dharma. The rest is up to them. So we should focus on the matters of creating the conditions for people to meet the right Dharma, the Orthodox Amida Dharma, the Orthodox general Buddhist teachings. And the rest is up to the people. But I'm sure that if more and more serious teachers appear in our world, the more chances other people will have to meet them, you see. if we have many priests in USA or in Germany that are Orthodox teachers, then the more chances, the more blessed is that country. The more chances those people living there will have a chance to meet. And you know, I actually, it depends. For example, I have a Twitter account, and on Twitter account, I met many Buddhists that are conservative in their views about religion and Buddhism, that are very orthodox with the general Buddhist doctrines. And even if most of them do not follow, are not interested in other power Buddhism, but practice, for example, Tibetan Buddhism, they slowly developed respect towards the Jodo Shinshu teaching in the way we present it at Amidaji. So anybody in among those who are now practicing self-power Buddhism might one day turn their mind towards the Jodo Shinshu. But we need to be there. You see, when they will have a spiritual crisis and realize that they can't attain liberation through themselves, we need to be there. See, so that somebody should meet, should talk with them, should meet with them in their spiritual crisis. Because I think that to come to come to become open to Amida Buddha, you need to have some kind of spiritual crisis, in the sense that you become aware of your limitations and that you can't actually attain anything based on your self-power.
And also keep it simple. If before you become a priest, as a lay person, and Josho talks about this a lot in his articles, don't act like I've met a lot of Buddhists on the path who want to talk about the meditation techniques they've tried and all this and their Dharma wisdom and knowledge. I admit that I'm, just a simple peasant. And the thing is, when you keep it simple and focus on the primal vow and what the primal vow means, and I focus in my videos on my personal relationship with Amida Buddha, because I know that's the best that's what I'm good at, expressing that emotional, spiritual connection I have with Amida and how it affects my life. Find how your faith benefits you and share that with other people. You don't have to be a scholar. That's one of the beauties about Jodo Shinshu. You don't have to be a scholar. You can be a simple, ignorant peasant like me and successfully bring across to others what that simple faith in Amida means and how it has made a difference in your life. That's very important, simplicity.
Yeah. Only those who have the experience of faith can share and can lead others to faith. Yes, your life is a testimony to to this path, so you can also use it. But faith gives some kind of simple understanding that is very necessary. But as a priest, you also need to have more knowledge about the Dharma. Because as a priest, you need to receive all the teaching. I mean, not just the basic. In order to be born in the pure land of Amida Buddha, you just know Amida is the real Buddha. You entrust to him exclusively say his name, and wish to go to his pure land, and you are born there. It's so simple. But people's minds are complicated. So as a priest, you live in a world that is very complicated. And Jodo Shinshu must be transmitted in a complicated world with complicated minds and with people that will ask many questions, many complicated questions, because their minds are complicated. So you need to try to, and sometimes they might ask doctrinal questions referring to this or that passage from the larger sutra, for example, that they don't understand quite well, because to read the sutra without the proper explanations, you might not understand it, because the sutra has many layers of interpretation and reading. And we read it through the eyes of the primal vow, through the eyes of Shinran. That's our way of reading the larger sutra, while other schools read it differently. So if you receive a specific doctrinal question, you have to answer it. You have to know where to look for it in the books. You don't need to write another book, for example. No need for that. But you need to do that. And if you make a doctrinal mistake, you might have faith, but you make a doctrinal mistake. That person might take that doctrinal mistake and share it with others. And then you do a disservice to the Dharma. That's why, as a priest, you need to also be able to answer to those 72 topics. You know, at least to know where to find the answers, because the answers were already given in the books that I wrote, in the passages that I collected. Yes. I hope that our discussion today is not a discouragement for this.
No sense. No, I found it very encouraging.
Yeah, it should be very encouraging. Yeah.
What are major mistakes new priests? Because you've been in contact with many priests. What are some of the mistakes that new priests make, in your opinion?
That new priests make?
Yes.
Old or new people make mistakes. Being an old priest or a priest with many years doesn't mean that you don't make a mistake. Perhaps you don't remember, perhaps you can make mistakes in subtle matters of doctrine. Perhaps you don't use the proper words, you see? So you have to, that's usually the mistake. Because if you have faith, you know the teaching naturally, but you might make mistakes by using the wrong words, or make a mistake but by not explaining an obscure passage, you know. But you can come back to that afterwards and see it. And if you made a mistake and didn't explain well, you go back to that person and you explain it again. You see? So mistakes that we usually do as priests, new or old, is in matters of properly choosing our words. I see. Yeah. And sometimes perhaps you might be very tired, and you can't properly answer. You might not be very careful to the words, or so these are the things that are difficult. You have to properly manage your energy, you see. And that is why, for example, when you see somebody who is not in a learning mood, you kick him out. If you see somebody who is repeatedly not in a learning mood for listening and accepting Jodo Shinshu, you don't insist with him too much, because that means that you would spend too much energy with that guy instead of using the same energy with those who are in a learning mood. See? So don't try to save those who don't want to be saved. See? You will start to learn to people who are in front of you and who ask you questions become your object of meditation. When you speak with somebody, nobody else exists for you. You don't have a wife, you don't have children, you have nothing. You are just you and that person. Only that person exists. You look at him, you look him in the eye. You look to his facial expressions. That's why, for example, I didn't allow hello. Hello. Namo Amida Buddha. That's why I didn't allow people to come to the temple with the masks on their face, because I need to see their facial expression when I explain the Dharma to them. See? If they couldn't come to the temple, I could speak face to face like this. But see, so you have to be careful to the people, contemplate the people, sing to them, you know. Yeah. Don't be hurried. Sometimes people we can be hurried. So manage your time. Another mistake that a priest can do is to manage his time not properly. Yeah. And of course, as a priest, don't drink at all. Try not to get any intoxicants because you always need to have your mind clear. Uh, uh, Anybody can be saved even if he is alcoholic or not. But I ask from those who want to become priests to not be alcoholics and not have any addictions. Why? Not because their birth in the Pure Land is not settled, but their birth in the Pure Land is settled since they received faith in Amida. But here we are not talking about their birth in the Pure Land. Here we are talking about their mission. And if they assume the mission of being a priest, they must have the mind clear, never be intoxicated, because you never know when there will be a chance to answer to somebody's question. For example, you are in a bar with friends and they drink. You can also drink. But let's say somebody knows you are a priest or just a Buddhist person and asks you a question. If you have your mind clouded by alcohol, you might not be able or not properly manage your energy to answer that person's question. And that's very bad. See? So that's why, for example, if I go to a rock club, I can dance all night. I can talk with all drunkards there, but I never get drunk. I never drink because, and anytime I go in such a place where people know that I'm a priest, they will ask a Dharma question out of curiosity, and I am there to answer. See? I can go anywhere. I can meet with people in bars also, but I never drink. They can drink, but I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that answered a lot of questions, Sensei. And you touched a little bit on this topic. And as a priest, how do you know how much time to give somebody? Because you touched on that a little bit, but some of your YouTube videos, you talk about, drug addicts or just people in very, very difficult life situations. And I wonder, like, how much time do you give that people? Because what if there's people who are just in difficult point in their life and they're trying to hang on to you? When do you kind of make the
You will
decision?
develop the skills in time to know people. There is no there is no clear answer. You'll know them. That just imagine that. Don't think that you will come to a point when you will know people just like that. Shinran Shonin had a son, Zenran. He allowed him to be a teacher. So he trusted his son. But actually, his son started to spread wrong views. And Shinran was shocked. And he disowned his son. So even Shinran himself didn't know his own son properly. So you can be fooled by people, not because they try to fool you directly. They even fool themselves. They don't know themselves. So they might, some people might look like they are very devoted to Jodo Shinshu, you know. They might look like they have faith, but you are not a Buddha, so you can't know if they really have faith. You can't know every details about what happens inside of them, and they might also not know themselves well. So they think they have faith, they think they are devoted, and once and after some time they quickly change their mind. And they didn't want to fool you. They fooled themselves. They were not, they don't know themselves well. See? And when you talk with difficult people in difficult situation, yes, you can't remember that you don't have a Buddha mind. And also, as I said, don't spend your energy too much with people who refuse to be helped. If somebody comes to you asking for your help and guidance as a teacher, then you give them guidance and teaching, and they have to follow those guidance. If they refuse to follow their guidance, then you tell them to go home, find another teacher. You know, they are on your time and on your energy. So if you use that energy wrongly with them for too much time, you will not have time for those that can really be helped. So yeah, it's very important. This is also in daily life. Every one of us has friends, you know, and you want to help your friends, but you realize some people don't want to be helped. They don't listen to your advice. They ask for advice, but they don't listen. Sometimes they even become upset. Then what can you do for them? Okay, see? Uh, yeah. Shinra Renyo Shonin said that, for example, you can't lead to faith those who lack good from the past. He even said to not speak about matters of faith with those who lack good from the past. I mean, those who don't have some good karma from the past that can make their minds become open to the primal vow, those people are not able to receive faith, are not able to receive the teaching because they are closed. For example, you don't go and start teaching I don't know, a Jehovah Witness uh, because he's not open to you. Or perhaps he might ask you a question about the Dharma. Okay, you answer. But if you see that that guy is asking you questions only to debate and not out of honest curiosity, then you don't need to talk with him again. You can tell him to mind his own business because you have other people that you might help. See? And you can always be fooled, as I said. Don't think that you will ever be in a position where you could know other people well. You can't. Your mind is limited. You will always be fooled by appearances. That's not your fault. You just try your best. I was constantly fooled by many people in the sense that I thought they have faith, I thought they are devoted, and they were not. That's it. That's life. And I invested in them time, energy, so and so. And I was fooled, you know. They didn't want to fool me. They themselves didn't know who they are. Yeah.
Sensei,
Yes, what's up?
one thing I always wanted to wonder, do you ever regret those wasting your time with them if they were never like it's almost like they wasted your time in a sense that they didn't
Ah,
want to learn. Do you ever regret it?
no, because I don't have time and energy for regret. If you regret things, then you invest time and energy in things that do not matter. That's another waste of energy and time, and is not a good management of your energy and time to regret anything. You, as a teacher, you should try to be like a mirror. When somebody is in front of you, when somebody is in front of the mirror entirely reflects that person. It is filled with the image of that person. That's how you are. That's how somebody coming to ask you about the Dharma is for you. You entirely reflect him and you meditate on him, and he is the single object of meditation for you. But when the object leaves the mirror no longer reflects that person. It's the same how a teacher should do with those who leave. Don't cling to people. Help people, but don't cling to people.